And we are back up in this. So this is the Highbutton podcast. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Been a minute. We are back. We are happy. We got Cohen on the producing. Jeff has graduated. Jeff, I want to thank you for how many years you put in?
2.5.
So when you talk, you put on. No, you got that going when he spoke. Attaboy. So how many years?
2.5,
All
3.
Let's give him well done.
Oh boy,
you did good. You're a little slow on the keys, but nonetheless, you did some. What was
Nate?
You did Nate.
Nate.
Did you do J-Rock?
I did J-Rock.
You did Pat Stay, rest in peace. That was arguably one of the most historical ones we've done.
Definitely.
Pat. What other ones have you done?
Oh man, I guess it's been a while. The Eddie Robinson.
The dehumidifier. Just chuck that off. You can just keep it on 3. Yeah. Sorry, yeah, Eddie.
Eddie, that was a good one. We did the one with Coach K, the Saint of X coach. I remember that was a good one.
Yeah.
Forgot about that.
Yeah, that was when I first started. It was my only job.
I remember some of the people walking in here for the first time, and he was like a week, maybe 2 weeks into Highbutton Sports, and he's like shaking hands with legends, and you just see this guy's eyes. He's like hanging out with Drake Batherson for like after the podcast. He's like, "What the hell?" Like Drake would leave, and I remember you were just like, what the hell just happened? Did I just sit down with Drake for 2 hours and shoot the shit? Like, I just remember, like, as soon as the guest left, you were in awe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I never quite figured out the keys, but, that's all right.
The first thing I'll say is right away, Belly asked Cohen if he got you on camera, and it just gave me flashbacks. And I know you definitely felt it because he's always like, is it on me? Is it on me?
Oh, yeah.
So now you get to move over to the other seat and let Cohen take the heat.
Yep. I'm happy to pass it along.
That's a good life.
Yep.
Weekend was good. Do you guys want to start with your weekend or mine?
You go ahead.
Okay, well, I don't even know what happened.
Well, he played pond hockey.
Yeah, I know. I feel like an idiot out there, though. I love it, but I don't have anyone. I'm 33 playing with kids. Like, I don't know. I feel like I'm that guy in the neighborhood.
Oh, remember that old guy in the North End that used to come around all the time?
But that's why I bring Sarah with me. So it's like, as long as I got my wife with me, it's not as weird. But that's the thing. Like, I don't know. It is fun. It's a great time. Like, whenever we get out there, every now and then there'll be like a Highbutton hat out there. There was one the other day, and it's just some random kid. I don't think he knew who I was, which was awesome. But he was just wearing like an old school, like the black one that has like the white trim around it with the pom pom on the top.
Oh yeah.
He was just wearing that. I didn't even talk to him, but like it was cool to see. Ice is phenomenal. It rained last night though. I don't know how.
Yeah, it's not looking so good this morning when I drove by.
Yeah,
that's the first thing I look for when I'm on my way here is if it's frozen.
Yeah,
it's frozen, but I don't think it's skatable.
But we're supposed to get cold weather coming up here too.
Yeah.
But no, it was great. It's just such a nice little break getting out there and skating. Went over to the Sackville Arena. My God, the Sackville hospitality and the community strength is unbelievable. I kept saying that to people. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, minor hockey is always like a strong bond. It's a good group of people. Everyone comes out and supports their own organization, but man, Sackville just has that sauce that makes people. They had almost 2,000 people out there on a Saturday afternoon.
The whole day.
All day. It was unbelievable. And it's me in hospitality. I love it. I used to be a concierge. I love hospitality. As soon as I get there, hey, Highbutton, because they had like you couldn't park in there.
Which is part of one of their issues. Yeah.
I'm not being rude. I just
can't. No, I'm good. Hanging off to the side.
My left eye's looking at you. This would be a good time to be cross-eyed. I could look at you. Yeah, like they didn't allow people to park in the main area where the rally was, but they let me park in there because you couldn't find parking anywhere. And I was just like, man, what a way to start this! Like open arms, like having me there. Highbutton, get in there. I brought a bunch of toques. I was chucking them out. So like it was the Knights high school team. That's Sackville.
Millwood
Knights.
Sackville, yeah.
So they were doing like the parking and stuff. So they opened the thing and I had like 20 hats and I just chucked them out the window and they all grabbed them. And then all day I saw these Highbutton hats running around. I get in there, just packed. Saw Adam Denny right away, gave him a big hug. And then from there, it was just content left, right, and center. Sackville people, not shy of anything, especially on their home turf. Get the camera on me, get the mic on me, I'll perform. True. So it was. I didn't even have to do anything. Just literally held the camera up. Mic was going. People were telling me how proud they were of their community, how much the funding would help. Just to know, like I only planned on probably hanging out for like an hour. I was there for probably 5 hours, just hanging out. Great people.
Time flying.
Hospitality, old friends. Kinger was there. Wiggy was there. Tried to get Duffy for an interview. Didn't happen.
Good luck.
I met James Shepard. I can't believe he's never been on the podcast, but he said he'd come on. I think, in passing.
He's just a regular fella, eh? Like,
I know, but like, man, like the way people perceived him up there, they were like, "So you're gonna get Sheps for an interview, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, like if I can get a hold of him." Like, "Oh no, he's right there, number whatever on the orange team." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, like I'd love to talk to him." And everyone's like, "Okay, well, I know, so don't worry, I can make that happen." So like, it was almost like he wasn't a regular guy. How you couldn't just go up to him and be like, "Hey, Sheps, can I get an interview?" It was like you had to be connected to get to him. And it was like that, and he's just looked up upon so much in that community. And a great guy. That's the thing with these pro hockey players. As soon as you talk to them, they're just fellas.
Yeah.
Well, what's going on, Sheps? How are you, brother?
well, if there's anyone you can communicate with, it's a hockey player.
Oh God,
You know, and he's like one of the top players, if not the top player, to come out of Sackville organization.
Yep.
So,
And I had to think. I was like, no, he's been on. Like, I don't know how many episodes we're at, but if you lose track, it's embarrassing. And then after I was like, we got to get you on the pod, because I did a little interview with him on the ice. I was like, I got to get you on the pod for the real thing. He goes, oh yeah, we'll make it happen. So hopefully that happens. Shout out to Sheps. Shout out to Sackville Minor Hockey. Just an unbelievable day. Sunny, it's freezing, but I didn't care. I was grinning ear to ear. And that was great. Then I came home and I had to go to Crumble. This place.
Crumble Cookie?
Yeah.
It's the hottest spot around.
what do you mean you had to go?
She wanted to go get a cookie from this place called Crumble, and there's lineups outside every time. And Saturday was freezing.
Yeah.
You don't know if you remember.
No, I was inside all day, so.
Saturday's freezing, so I get home and I just want to start editing. And no, we gotta go to Crumble. That's his married life. I love you. And
Nice throw that in there.
yeah, and so we had to go to Crumble and wait in the line. And I got to invest in these. What are these, Uggs?
Yeah.
Uggs and the puffy jacket. I was the only guy not wearing Uggs and a puffy jacket. And Sarah. It was just all the girls in the lineup and the phones. And you get in there, and it is a pretty impressive
Setup.
It's pretty nuts. As soon as you walk in, they got a bunch of workers in the back. They go, "Welcome to Crumble," and it kind of scares you a bit because you're not expecting 20 people to yell at you.
Especially
Welcome
for a cookie.
Exactly. After freezing my balls off for 30 minutes in the lineup, like, "Welcome to Crumble." Anyways, you get in there. It was a good cookie, but it's just I'm not a line guy, and I got in there, and it was a way to cap off a Saturday night. Crumble, had a cookie, crumbled all over the new car because I couldn't wait. I had to eat it in the car.
Oh, really?
So I'm getting yelled at on the way home. You're messing the car up. It's like, what's called Crumble. You
You knew what was gonna happen.
You knew what was gonna happen. So that was the whole situation. The cookie's called Crumble. It was crumbling all over the seats. Brand new car. So that was a fight on the way home, but not a fight, but you know what I mean.
Where else are you supposed to eat it?
At home, but I didn't have patience. I was starving. 30 minutes on a line. I got a brand new out of the oven chocolate chip cookie. I'm eating it.
When was the last time anybody in this room has seen Belly grab something and not eat it right away? That's what I'm thinking, right? Like for you to take that home would be just absurd.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of that too. If there was ever,
There
You have
isn't.
to keep it moving.
Yeah.
Got to keep it moving.
On to the next thing.
Yeah.
The main thing is you guys didn't crumble. And that's the main
no,
part.
God, no.
There you
Fuck.
go,
I came home, had a great night. Saturday night, I didn't edit. Just like, it was family time. Woke up, edited.
Let's think back like 10, even 15 years. And if I would have told you that you'd be spending your Saturday nights in a cookie lineup in Halifax just to get a cookie for your Saturday night, you probably would have laughed at me.
Oh, big time.
Because what did Saturday nights look like back in the day?
Toothy.
Anything along that
Palace.
Hottest
line,
outfit
yeah.
on the
Yeah.
stretch.
It was funny though, because there was like a girls' hockey tournament going on, so there was a bunch of other dads in lineup too, and they were all feeling the same thing I was. They're all just there, like, all right, let's get this.
All
going.
6 guys in the
Oh,
line, the
yeah.
only ones without Stanley Cups.
Oh yeah, just you get to see these. There's some dads like watching hockey on their phone in the lineup while the girls are freaking out
So
over
give me
the
chocolate
cookie.
chip.
It was pretty funny.
Were you watching the streams, or was it out of sight, out of mind?
No, man, you know me. I can't watch the streams because then I'm messaging you guys
Yeah.
saying fix this, fix that, fix this, fix that, which we do have to talk about after this podcast. But I just can't, and I'll drive you guys nuts. I'll drive myself nuts, and they would have kicked me out of the Crumble line if I was watching the streams. It would have been like, who's this lunatic freaking out at his phone? So
Midget game.
They do that to you.
yeah, they do. So, but overall, great weekend. Happy to be back in the saddle. 20 days into January, and we're humming along. So that was me. How was your guys' weekend?
Well, ours was a little different than yours. No crumble. We did a dance comp for my mom-in-law, which if you listen to this podcast, you know that we dabble in those sometimes, but it's another dance comp. You sit in one chair for 14 hours a day and my job's pretty easy, where I just press play and hope the dancers dance, and if they don't, then you try again. But it was pretty good. It was a lot to keep an eye on the games and stuff like that, and every weekend comes with something. You can be prepared as you want, and little things come up, the internet won't connect or something like that. But I think overall it was a good weekend. We always seem to build a little bit of a stronger bond sitting there in that chair for 14 hours. Normally we're not side by side, but this week we were, so it worked out well. We were just hanging out, and you can't really talk much, but to do it for the weekend and hang out with your buddies, not too bad, right? So, and it's free food all weekend, and free drinks, and not liquor drinks, but bubblies and water and stuff like that, to clarify. But yeah, overall pretty good weekend in my books, and then get to cap it off with hockey last night, so no complaints from me.
Yeah, I like the team mentality. It's just like another weekend, but
the team mentality of like the dance comp.
Yeah, Lori does a good job. It's like kind of reminds me of what we do here, but definitely a little tougher when we got the streams going on. But all in all, it worked out. Everyone came together. It was kind of weird because we did Ice Jam last week, so it was our first week back to the regular season in a couple weeks. So had to get our feet back under us. Cohen started us off strong.
Yep, Spring Hill went down there and set up his own games, and it's part of the process, right? For us is there's certain guys that you throw into those mixes, and some guys you don't, but you know how it is. Trying to find internet, or even sometimes just trying to get into a spot to get internet in a rink. But luckily, Cohen's face is up in the rink in Spring Hill there. He's the only guy to ever play AA hockey out of Spring Hill, so he got in there pretty quick. So we were pretty happy with that, which you knew, and I told you that. So
did you have the issue of people coming up and talking to you during the game because you're from there?
Yeah, a lot more than last time. A lot more than provincials last year.
Yeah.
13 AAA.
He was unknown then.
Yeah.
Now he's
Maybe we should keep the camera off you.
Don't show his face.
Yeah, he's got to stream for a bit here.
But overall, good week. And that was a weird setup, though. I will say 10 a.m. on a Saturday and then 3:30 on a Sunday. Now, obviously, I don't book ice, but it just seemed a little weird, like maybe go 10 a.m. Sunday. But I guess no matter how you slice it, the team traveling to Spring Hill had to travel a couple hours, right? But and I'm no schedule master, but I thought maybe Pictou would have been a good option to go down to Spring Hill. If I'm not mistaken, they do feed from there for the week's program. Is that correct? So I thought that would be a good way. But it's nice to see, as much as it's tough sometimes for us to get into these places that's just out of the ordinary, right? Like Churro normally plays at the Rec. We have our guy there, but to throw Spring Hill at us is, we're fine with it. But it's nice to grow the game in little communities like that don't have teams.
Definitely. Good internet there, too.
Yeah, really good internet.
So I was thinking, what's the 20th? So we leave on...
We're less than a month, 29 days.
So I was going to say, today's an appropriate podcast to announce what we're doing. Excuse me. So without further ado, or I guess we're not. Actually, that's not a good intro.
Rusty.
Yeah. We're going to Boston for the Four Nations face-off, the finals. A little bit of a risk. Hopefully Canada makes the finals. If not, I guess it wouldn't be a complete waste of money, but we're hoping Canada makes the finals so we can go down and support the Maritime fellas and the country as well. We're really excited. The way you got to look, or the way at least I look at this, is when I have friends that actually work at real companies, not that this isn't a real company, this is a real company. They do these things called company retreats where they go down to like Mexico for a week, Cuba for a week, and they just kind of, they say they work, I don't believe them, but they go down and they bond and they work and they network and all that. Whatever. The way I look at this is same thing. It's a company retreat. It's an investment in our relationship to grow as people that run the company. And it's also a great opportunity for us to do a little bit of work. Maybe we'll get some street interviews in, podcasts, whatever. But we've done this for the past couple of years. Last year we did the NHL All-Star Game. The year before we might have done something too.
Me and you did Boston.
For the dudes did get you got your passport.
Of course I did.
Got the passport. So this is just the way I see it. It's just a Christmas gift, I guess, to the company and to all, I guess, the hard work and dedication we put into this. It's just a little reward for the fellas to get away for 3 days and go cheer on the country that we like to call Canada, and the Maritime fellas too. It'll be fun, and it's a company retreat. It's a real company. It's a real trip. It's the real deal. I hope the big dogs play. This is the time of year where you just don't want to see an injury. Like they're saying but Matthews is playing. So
he is, but yeah.
What do you mean?
Well, he's just like, if you watch him full on, he's not the Matthews that he normally is. Like he's still when he gets in tight, he still rips titty and stuff, but like that. But he's not winning as many like stick battles and stuff, and there's something going on there.
You think it's wrist?
I think so. They're so closed door with it, right? But I mean, if he's playing, he's playing, and that's something that I don't think the players want to miss if they have the opportunity to play.
It's going to be just so great to. That's the thing. It's just.
When's
it getting? Well, I guess the Olympics.
Yeah, next year in Italy.
Yeah. But you don't want to miss out on this. Come on.
This is the first back.
Yeah, it's like the precursor for it, and it's been a while since we've had like best on best. Now, obviously, there's some debate out there about like having Russia in there and their team would be stacked and all that shit. And it is a little bit weird that it's only 4, but it's best on best, man. That's pretty much all there is to it.
I have a feeling when we're in that rink for the finals, it's going to feel pretty similar, or it's going to be that national pride's going to shine through pretty tight, especially after Canada with the World Juniors. Like I was in the locker room last night, the boys were talking about it, and they were like, well, a lot of more pressure on Canada now after the World Juniors. Hockey Canada getting roasted for all their decisions at every turn. So like there is a little bit of riding here.
It is a tough team to pick for Canada.
Yeah.
Like there was a couple guys on there. I'm not going to say who, but at least on Twitter, they're like, I don't know about that. So
there's tons of that.
So there's tons, not a little. Okay.
Yeah. It's pretty much all.
They got
that.
something to prove.
Yeah.
There's some guys that should have been on the team that aren't on the team.
That's no different than any other year. It just seemed like it's a lot easier to put that under the microscope when the team loses in the quarterfinal, right? If the team loses in the gold medal game, you sit there and go, well, maybe they were right with most of the decisions, but then you pinpoint one guy that was a minus in the font. You know what I mean? Like hockey, Canada's just such a cutthroat country when it comes to hockey, and like one thing that people forget to realize is these kids are Cohen's age, like they're teenagers, like their dads still have to drive them to the rink and, some of them and stuff like that. And they still have recess at school. So it's like, there's no one out there that's like, I don't really care about my country. I'm not going to try. It's like those guys are out there trying. It's just sometimes you don't win. Like
Twitter could be a lot more ruthless though.
Because
these aren't adults, it's
burner accounts and like
these are not kids anymore. These are adults playing for this Four Nations Cup.
Yeah,
and I don't know.
These are established NHLers. Like the guys in the World Juniors, it's different. Like there's a lot of pressure to go into the tournament. There's also a lot of pressure for your career. It's like the biggest stepping stone of your career at that particular point. So, to sit there and say like, oh, they weren't prepared or they crumbled or something like that. It's like, dude, these are 17-year-old kids, 18-year-old kids. They had a lot of pressure going into this.
Yeah,
but these are established NHLers in the Four Nations is where we're going, right? So these guys have dealt with this shit before.
They're used to Twitter year round.
Yeah, they probably don't even have it.
It's time for the big dogs to step up because Canada brings this or wins this. It kind of simmers a bit because right now it's like a fever pitch after the last 2 years, at least in Hockey Canada sense. Bad choices, bad coaches. So it's up to the big dogs now to come in.
It could be a little hostile if it's Canada-USA in that finals. If you ever see a fight in the stands in an NHL arena, 9 times out of 10 it's in Boston in the upper bowl.
Would you, Tilly?
I mean, it depends what I'm drinking, Like,
or what happens. There's context involved.
Yeah, like
unreal.
But I'm dead serious. So if you look at an NHL fighting video, there is a good chance it's in the Boston TD Garden in the upper bowl. And that's
like
where
Philly.
we're gonna or Philly, yeah. Did you see the guy get booed out of the Pittsburgh rink the other day? The old fella, he took a puck from the kid.
Yeah, get out. That's how you get booed.
And the guy was all the way down at the glass, so he had like 30 rows to go up as this guy's just getting booed, flipping everyone the bird. Security's trying to kick him out. It was a pretty funny video, and he started yelling at the kid. So then the mom chimed in, and the mom went like this, didn't actually swing, but it was a pretty funny video.
It's crazy how much shit happens in a rink. Like, it's obviously liquor induced, most of it, but like there's just some we're passionate hockey fans, boys, but like we're nowhere near some of these people. Like guys that go in and they legit think they're on the team and like they're just like crazy fans and they just like anything you say bad, like you could be like, oh, bad shift from what's his name, and the person just like turns and freaks. So it's just like, whoa, man. At the end of the day, it's a game, I'm all for passion. I'm all for being a big fan, but like really to want to fight somebody over fandom is just absurd.
There's some days where I'm grateful for my right ear being 50% hearing loss, because when I go to these rinks, I'm happy I don't get to hear some of the people around me, and oh man, it's bad. Like that Leafs game we went to, or no, this was a playoff game up in the upper bowl.
Oh yeah,
the guy wearing his pajamas. They lost like 7-1 to Tampa in the game one of the not the playoffs last year, 2 years ago.
Second round?
No, it was the first game of the playoffs.
Oh right, yeah.
Remember, and you had to go home that game.
Yeah.
And this guy just sitting next to me in his pajamas.
What do you mean in his pajamas?
He's wearing his Leafs. He's a grown man in his Leafs pajamas.
Was it like a onesie? Was it a two-piece? Like,
it was a two. He had like a puffer jacket and everything on up top and a hat, but like he didn't have pants or jeans on. He had pajamas, like Maple Leaf pajamas with Crocs on.
But he got them in his stocking.
And he's just out there, and he's right next to me, dude. He's like right next to me. And I don't even know if he was sitting with anyone. It was just him. And you could have swore he's the coach of the team.
Oh,
like first unit power play goes out. No, wrong call. He should have put Domi out there. What are you doing? Domi's, just.
Okay, pajama man.
And he's yelling at the point where at least 3 rows around him could hear, and it just ruined. And they lost, so ruined the experience a little bit, but at the same time made it funny. And the same with the game we went to when they played the Islanders. Yeah. Didn't the guy behind us?
Okay, so that's where I was headed with that. Yeah. So there's the other side of things, right? Where there's the pajama boy or whatever screaming at the coach, and then you have that. I don't remember what the guy was saying, but he was yelling hilarious shit, and it was just like he would wait for the perfect time so the whole rink would be silent, and then he would yell just like something absurd that was just like you could tell that he wasn't trying to like shit talk the team, but he was just trying to be funny, just like wrong line change, or like he would just yell. And I remember us dying because we were like, this guy's funny and he gets it, you know what I mean? He's not trying to make the calls in the stands. He's just yelling crazy, obscene things that just like, and everybody around was laughing, so you could hear everybody in the upper bowl. But the upper bowl is a weird breed, man.
Yes, it is.
Number one, it's mostly the tickets you can afford, right, for us regular peasants.
Well, it's the real fans up there, too.
Well, that's what I was going to say. So that's where, like, the jerseys are and stuff is up there, and that's where the booze is flowing. But you look down, it's like suits in the bottom half, and there's... Yeah, very nice. That's very good. Yeah, nice play. Yeah, I don't even know what happened. I'm going to go get a beer. But the upper bowl is just a whole different world, man. And I like the upper bowl. I know you do. I know you can see the whole ice. You get the whole experience.
People watch.
Oh, big time. People watching, especially where, like, I'm not a drinker and stuff like that. So I spend a lot of time like looking around and just trying to be aware of my surroundings, because you just never know what's going to happen in there. But the upper bowl is it's a whole different world, man.
Oh yeah, big time.
So where we are in Boston?
Yeah, we're 4 rows up in the upper bowl on the side facing the bench. So we're not dead center. We're like 2 rows to the right of center, but we are facing the side where we get to see the benches, which I did want.
Yeah, that's nice.
I like to see that.
Body language, that kind of shit.
Yeah,
interactions.
It's a whole nother game within the game when you get to see the players change, the coaches and stuff. It's just I just like looking at the bench. There's a game within a game there.
I tell you what I'm excited for, and you guys could probably guess this, but like the fan shit where you do like the goalie challenges.
Oh,
and that's just, man, when I get into those moments, I'm a child, but that's part of the experience. Like, and that's why, I try to do everything to my maximum, but that's what I'm looking at here on the website. It's like family-friendly hockey interactive games, and I'm like,
yeah,
getting to shoot on 4-year-olds and stuff like that, which is fun.
That was one of the greatest moments ever at the Fan Fest last year.
The All-Star game?
Yeah. Dude, lined up with all the kids in the goalie gear.
I made the girl put the gear on for me.
Oh yeah, you lied. You were laying on the ground. She's strapping the pads.
She's like, legally, I gotta do this for you.
Made me wear a chest protector with foam pucks.
That was a great day.
Yeah,
it was a great day. I think we got there at 10 a.m. and there was beer flowing, freezing beer, expensive clothing. It was just a great day.
There was the best part about that is that you have this like expectation, or you kind of like play it out in your head, because we knew that day we were getting up to go down to the convention center, and you walk in there, it's just this completely different world that you even thought of. And then you walk in, like you said, there was like as soon as you walk in, there was a beer tent there, and you're just like, whoa. And
just
then
like, take vendors.
My money.
Take my money.
Just put in an absolute shift there.
Now, obviously, that has a little bit of a factor with like doing those games and stuff like that. You get a 10 a.m. Bud Light in you, and all of a sudden you're feeling a little warmer.
But it was so cold. I remember having that Coors Light, and it was just freezing. The mountains were blue. Like, it was just like, wow.
Just like they say.
It's the NHL.
Yep.
It's the NHL. They're the NHL for a reason. They know how to put on events and games.
So pretty cool for the last little bit. We've done, in the last few years, we've got to do like a draft, an all-star game. You got to go VIP for a little bit. And now the 4 Nations. I mean, as far as a hockey fan, this is like, there's not much left on the list. Maybe an Olympics, Spengler, maybe, which I think I may have least convinced to do one year. But it's in Switzerland, right?
That would be a lot of fun.
And you can do everything there. It's not so much about the hockey, but I mean, as far as being a hockey fan, I'm pretty fired up. I'm trying to get myself a Darcy Tucker jersey for the trip.
Yeah, I guess I'll just have the McDavid, but if Canada doesn't make finals, then
just wear it anyways.
Did McDavid, sorry to bring this up, or I'm not sorry, but did McDavid get suspended for that Crosscheck or no?
Oh, that's one of our topics.
He did?
He's going to. He hasn't yet.
Oh, this is one of the topics.
It is, yeah.
Oh, it's on the back.
Show it up to Cohen.
Maybe next time, Cohen, we should do double-sided.
Yeah, man.
Threw
You
him
messed
off.
up.
Connor McDavid cross-check with less than 20 seconds on the game clock. Oh, there was only 20 seconds left in the game.
Him and Garland got tangled up, and Garland
Your boy.
I know.
Garland wouldn't let him go.
I know. What am I supposed to think, man?
I just thought it was a hockey play. If we're gonna dig into it,
Holding him for 20 seconds?
No. I meant like trying to get away and you just try and
Yes.
push in the moment. And Garland's half McDavid's size.
Yeah, I think it's a suspension-worthy cross-check, but I don't think it should have gotten to that point.
Did you
Wow.
did you
You
type
know?
this up or did you copy and paste this?
I got it from Sportsnet and NHL.com. So
At least you're honest.
Well, he sourced them.
Yeah, he's got his like at the bottom where you use your what is it?
Oh,
you got
via Sportsnet.
you got caught for plagiarism. Your references.
Yeah. APA
I've
style.
I've told that story on here, haven't I?
Oh,
Did you get
yeah.
caught?
Yeah,
You never heard that story?
the guy
I
was
don't think
away
so.
for hockey and
We're
tried
in-
to do a project and just like copied and pasted, but he kept everything like
we're on the max, and I had a project due the day before we went to Gatineau for this big tournament in Gatineau, and it was like an English project. It had to be like 20 pages, it was a big one. Just completely forgot about it. Going to Gatineau, I got other things on my mind, and I don't even know what it was on, but I do remember the topic. There was a whole Wikipedia page on this topic I had to write the page on, and I'm just such a dummy, man. Just. I'm not. If you're a kid out there, I'm not saying do this. Like,
well, let this be a lesson.
let
to
this
you.
be a lesson. So I just, copy, paste, couple.
Hand it
From
in.
Wikipedia?
Yes, man. There's
And
no
you gotta-
Chat GPT back then.
No.
This is the.
No.
I had to walk a mile to school in the snow up to my waist back then, right?
Let's go to the library to get your information.
Yes.
Did you have the hyperlinks like in
Yes.
the
That's what happened.
I completely forgot because I did, but I deleted the lines. Like I deleted the lines under them because the lines.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
they're-
Underline.
But when I sent it in, the hyperlinks changed colors. They went back to blue because I changed them to black. But when I sent it in via email, everything went back to
Yeah.
blue where the links were. So, anyways, I'm at the hotel. We're getting ready to go to a game. I get a call from my high school. It's my principal. I'm like, oh, I had 2 goals last night. Maybe he's just calling to congratulate me. Like, great job, great game.
He's -2.
And I was like, hey, like, how you doing? He goes, Justin, we got a serious matter here. Your English teacher submitted your paper that you handed in yesterday, 2 days ago. We saw that you plagiarized. You left the links in there.
The entire thing, not just 2 lines.
So-
the entire thing.
So I go, your mind should not be on school when you're at this tournament. It's the biggest scouting tournament of the year. You're trying to go pro. So now I'm going to the game, and he goes, we're going to have to talk about a suspension when you get back. Possibly, he goes, possibly, you could be expelled.
Oh my god.
So I'm just thinking right away, like, man, I hope my parents don't find this out. Hopefully they don't. My mom, I think, was at the tournament. My dad was home, but I remember seeing my mom and just like, I'm like, I don't think she knows. Like,
Yeah.
because I'm like, hey, mom, how you doing? Like, and she wasn't
Good,
mad.
honey.
So I was like, okay, she doesn't know. They didn't call my parents.
Oh my
So
god.
I remember just going to the rest of the tournament. My mind was just like in scrambles because I'm thinking I'm going back to Nova Scotia, going to be expelled.
Such a
suspended,
rookie
whatever.
move by the principal right before a big tournament.
I know, but anyways, I ended up going back, and they just let me write my exams in the principal's office the rest of the year, open book. They're just like, oh, maybe he has trouble learning. Let's just let him have a little open book experience, so when he writes his exams, he doesn't have to cheat anymore. I was like, hey, unbelievable. Yeah, I got learning problems. Let's just do it.
The funniest thing of
So-
all
Bang
of
these
it.
out.
And it was Miss Lund, the principal.
Yeah, she's a beauty.
The vice principal. Her son was on the Moosehead, so Miss Lund was like, oh, like, I get it. My son plays hockey. Steve Lund, who's been on the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
was like, oh, I get it. Like, he's stressed out about hockey. Maybe he just felt rushed. And, like, she was just the best with, like, understanding my situation. So that was
100%.
wicked. Shout out to Miss Lund.
She's actually part of my family now, which is super weird. Just one of the family members, I think Wig's cousin, his wife is her mom. So she's like at the family events and stuff. And I went up to her and, I was just like, hey, like, how you doing? And I don't think she remembered me, which is really good because just like you, I spent a shit ton of time in there because it either in trouble or hockey, right? You miss stuff. So they have to set you aside and you have to do your work. And she, same thing, man, just do this and shut up. And you know what I mean? I'll handle the rest of them. So she was a beauty, man. And,
Oh, she was great.
And we had so many people that you and I shared a principal. So it was like A to D.
Yeah.
It was like Miss Lund. And then it was like D to whatever. And there was like all sections. So
Yeah.
you'd be like the third one in there. And she's like, this is the third hockey guy that I've had in here today. Like, you guys need to figure it out. Or it's like,
I remember the first day of, like, the second semester, she'd be like, why the hell are you in chemistry right now? I'd be like, I don't know. That's what the lady put me in. She goes, okay, you're going to wood shop. And then the next thing you know, 20 minutes later, I'm building the birdhouse or something. Like, she was just the best.
She's like, chemistry ain't for you, buddy.
Yeah. You're going to wood shop, and then I'd be with my people. But yeah, those days, man. What were we talking about?
I want to backtrack right quick on this because you said that the principal would have called. Now, in those days, cell phones were a thing, but only like the rich kids had them, right?
Okay.
And there was still like you had to pay for text and that kind of shit. So it would have been the school calling our liaison, which was probably Kirk at the time, one of our coaches, and then they would have had to pull you aside and have this conversation after they just had a conversation. So you were hearing it through the messenger. There was no like direct call to you.
Oh, yeah.
Which was crazy. So like anytime you got pulled aside by like the coach or a manager or something, you knew something was up. It wasn't like, unless you scored 5 goals and then they were coming to you to say, oh, Gatineau's looking at you or something, which never happened to me. But you would get their message. It's like you get the call even over the announcements, like, Justin Belanger, could you please come to the office? And you're like, oh, shit. But that's what it was like. So it was even more intimidating to hear it from like your coach rather than like the school at home where it's like 13 hours away and you just don't give a shit, right? It's like, okay, cool, I'll be back. But yeah, it was, I remember that day because we always used to do those like school sessions, right? Like the whole team would get together and we just dick around. But I guess the lesson in this is stay in school and don't plagiarize.
Yeah. Man, ChatGPT, you're set now, though. You've seen that?
Oh, I use it. I'm not in school, though, let's say.
Anyways.
But yeah, I don't know how we got there, but we went back to the McDavid.
Crosscheck. Mm-hmm. And then did he get suspended for the elbow?
No, they let that one go.
No suspension, no fine.
So there's nothing for that. This was the next game.
David Harush.
So shout out to David Harush. Is the when are they coming out with this? If he's going to be suspended or fined?
Time is to be determined. They didn't set a date yet, so we don't know yet.
Who'd you get that from, Cohen? Who sourced that? NHL.com?
NHL.com.
Yeah, that's legit. I'm looking at it, so.
There you go.
Upon review. Okay, yeah, you said that.
Yeah.
So let's dig into it a little bit. You're an Edmonton fan,
Mm-hmm.
and you just said briefly before we got into Belly's dumb plagiarizing incident
Yeah.
that you thought it was a suspendable offense, but you also didn't think it should have got to that point. So do you care to elaborate on that a little bit? Because I agree with you.
And he's also one of the best players in the NHL, so be careful what
And
you
you're
say.
not being
behind
biased.
Nate, who has 73 points right now.
Behind Nate. Yeah. Well, it's just Garland's like great player, but the type of guy where it's fine for him to take 2 minutes in the box to hold a guy. Like it's worth it for him to sit there and get McDavid, especially at the end of the game, when he's going to be out there for 2 or 3 minutes straight trying to tie it up. So obviously that's how hockey works. It makes sense. The star guy, you get someone to pick, like to grab onto him and hold him. But the reffing was just spotty in that situation. 20 seconds holding them on the ground. It's like if that penalty gets called there, then McDavid doesn't need to get up and give the cross check to the face, which obviously you can't do. So it's unfortunate it got to that point, but he did get a good whack on him, and I think it'll be people like the rumors are saying like it's either going to be one game and it'll just kind of be like here you go, which they've done to McDavid before. He's gotten a 1-game suspension, or they're going to like get kind of, I think someone was comparing it to a Riley suspension or something like that, and they're going to give him 3 to 5 games, which would be aggressive, I think. But
if you're an Edmonton fan, though, don't get me wrong, I think it's kind of good if he gets suspended because then he gets pissed off.
Yeah.
How is Edmonton doing right now?
They're doing really good.
Yeah, they're humming right now.
So
okay, maybe not then.
Before that Vancouver loss, they were 22, 3-1 in their last 25. So they were just winning every game. And they went on a crazy road trip. But Draisaitl's been the best player on the team.
Oh, yeah?
He's leading
the whole year.
33 goals this year.
Yeah.
69 points. They're humble.
He has no penalties this year. Everyone used to complain about
None?
how dirty.
Yes, he does. He has 16 minutes.
penalty minutes
Okay, so 8
halfway
penalties.
through a year.
Yeah.
Mitch Marner has 12 minutes in penalties this year.
Yeah, so he's close to Marner on the penalty scale, which tells you everything you need to know. And he signed that new. I don't know. Draisaitl's just been the better player this year. Obviously, I think anyone who watches would say that, which is a good thing because McDavid's the best player in the world. So if he can turn it up to that level and take over, and Draisaitl stays there, then we're in a good spot. But it's been fun. Like as an Oilers fan, you got to go in expecting to win every game. That's what I'm saying.
I do that too until playoffs.
These great players, man, they have that switch where they can turn it on, turn it off. And whenever you piss off a great player, watch when they come back the next game what happens. It's great. Sid, throughout his whole career, always played great against Philly or like a game after Philly. He's just, whenever you piss these guys off, they're just a different level. You ever see Nate play pissed off? Just
scary.
Oh my God.
Dude, it's like those guys,
it's unbelievable.
you want to let them sleep, right? Like there's those guys that you don't want to piss off.
Yeah, what is it? Poke the bear.
Poke the bear, and then you get this crazy like pushback from them. But On the Edmonton note, to have Draisaitl outplaying McDavid, I guess,
for a half season,
right, is intimidating, man. Like, think of the layers of pressure that brings from the opponent's standpoint. You know, it's like, okay, we can shut down McDavid, but then we have to worry about Draisaitl. And not only that, they have like Hyman's starting to get back into it. I only know that because I have him in my fantasy. But, you know, he went like 15 to 20 games without scoring a goal after putting up 56 last year. So in true Edmonton fashion, they started slow.
Yeah.
And now they're basically unbeatable is what it feels like.
Well, Pod Colson, who's a new guy on the team this year, he did an interview. I think he's Russian in his native language, which usually they spill a little bit more when they're doing that. And he said that, like, at the start of the year when they were losing, like, in the dressing room, he would be upset or he would be down on it. And, like, the McDavids and the Draisaitl's and Bouchards, they're just like, nah, man, like,
we're fine.
This is what we do. Like, we lose to start the year, like, we'll turn it on. And he was like, I was shocked at how casual everyone was about losing these games, but obviously they've turned it around and now
they've been there.
They're tied for first in the league for the first time since 2020.
This is how it works with the Stanley. I'm not saying Edmonton's going to win the cup, but it's just like, you know, Florida loses that first year, then the next year they come back. Same with Pittsburgh, that 1 year against Detroit. Then they
Colorado.
Colorado. It's just actually, speaking of Colorado, I do want to give a shout out to Jonathan Drouin. Talk about a glow up, man. Like, you know, his situation in Montreal, he was dealing with stuff and wasn't having the best time. It's tough playing in that market in front of your family,
especially as
friends.
a French guy too,
and getting paid a lot of money too, and just wasn't, you know, delivering up to expectations. And now going to Colorado, he's a point per game guy. 14 games played, 4 goals, 10 assists for a total of 14 points. Check the math. But just talk about, you got to be happy for a guy. I think he has a newborn as well.
Yeah.
Just a guy who has that glow back to him back when you see him playing for the Halifax Mooseheads. And you got to tip your hat as well to Nate. You know, you talk about it. He does so much. You know, you think about how much he's done for this company.
Yeah.
And now he's just doing this for Nate. He's doing this for Drouin. Brings him to Colorado. Last year puts up 56 points. And now he had 56 points last year. And he got a new contract with Colorado for this year because of it. Because last year he only signed a 1 year,
like a league
750 or something. I don't know what he's making this year, but you talk about a glow up and a friendship. Not really a teammate. Talk about a friendship between Drew and Nate.
Yeah, it's a guy helping a guy out.
Yeah, I remember there was videos, you know, when they go to camp, but before camp, there's just free ice and everyone's just skating around. Like, there was tons of videos of Nate and Drew hanging out after practice and just practicing one-timers, practicing cycles, practicing things off the rush. And you just tell they're putting that work in and building that chemistry back from the old Halifax days. And to see it kind of pay off, I don't know, it's just a cool story. And hopefully one day they can win a cup together, and that'd be sick, you know, like
Mem Cup and a Stanley Cup together.
Yeah. Did they win a World Juniors? No, they didn't.
No, they lost. But rejuvenation for him, right?
Oh, my God. And it's a great story.
You say living up to expectations. If Drouin was a guy, because really at the start of that Mooseheads year, he started in midget, U18, before anybody's down my throat. But he started halfway through that year. He went back down to midget, and then they brought him back up halfway through the season, if I'm not mistaken, or like early in the season, and all of a sudden he just was on the radar. Like, I think he was ranked like low rounds, and then all of a sudden he became a 3rd overall pick. So that's where I'm heading with this, is that he was a 3rd overall pick, and that's the pressure, right, to Tampa Bay. Those top 10 picks, they feel it. You know, after 10, you kind of just like go, oh, okay, well, you know, if this guy pans out, he'll pan out. If he doesn't, he doesn't. But to have that pressure and then have a little bit of a falling out in Tampa Bay, because obviously there's personality stuff, and I don't know him personally, but sometimes the way you play just doesn't align with the systems of the team or whatever the case may be. So to see him go through that sucked, and you almost for a portion of it was like, geez, I don't know if this is going to work out at all. Yeah. And then you send him to Montreal, and then all of a sudden everyone's like, oh my God, he's home. He's going to play in front of everybody. But that's one of the most potent. Yeah,
Sergachev, like, you know, they gave up a lot.
And then one of the most potent fan bases in hockey history, between Montreal and Toronto at least, right?
Yeah.
And he kind of struggled there, and then like you said, it's so much more than a hockey player. I feel like Nate definitely obviously had a say in him coming there.
Definitely.
And a rejuvenation. He's looking out for his buddy. It'd be no different if one of us was going through a tough time and we want to bring someone in and help out. So it's really cool to see, and obviously we have a special spot in our heart because we got to see those guys absolutely tear it up here on home ice.
We saw Drouin go from that 6th round guy to the top 3 overall pick in Halifax. Like, he came in that first game, I remember he had like 4 assists. He was just like, whoa.
The way he dished the puck back then, man.
Because he didn't come for like, something happened, I remember at the beginning. He didn't come to camp or something, or he had to finish school, and
Yeah, I
he
don't know.
showed up like 20
Yeah.
games into the season, and his first game had like 4 assists, just absolutely lit it up. I remember watching the game. I was because Tommy and I got season tickets that year, and we were just like, whoa, this is going to be the best year of my life.
Yeah, and it was one of them.
Oh, dude, we would go to like Sunday afternoon games against like the worst team, but you're just like, at least we get to watch Nate and Drew on the power play, and you're just like, they're just having fun out there. They're just
Fucali
having
made a
fun.
name
Just
that way
Fucali,
that year too.
every game.
Uyghur, oh my
Albetauser.
god, dude,
Yeah.
just an unbelievable.
So we're pretty fortunate. Like at the time, you know it's cool. You do. Like you're like, this is really cool. And we were still relatively newly removed from playing.
You were playing for the Moose the year before, weren't you?
two
Two
years
years?
before.
So that's what I mean. Like relatively.
Yeah, same teammates. Like they were the
Yeah.
same guys were on the team that were still playing when I got season tickets.
Yeah.
Like I remember Brent Andrews was like a rookie
Darcy
that year.
Ashley.
Yeah.
Darcy Ashley, and then they were eventually like the third, fourth year guys, if that makes sense. Yeah.
But that's one thing that we're fortunate for, right? Is like I said, in the moment, you don't, you know that these guys are going to be stars, but to sit here 10, 15 years later and still continue to watch their progression in their careers is crazy, because you don't think at the time like, oh, this guy's going to be one of the best players in the world.
Yeah.
Which we Nate, okay, probably you knew, but at the same time, injuries happen, like that kind of shit. So when you're in the moment, you're like, this is sick, but you're not thinking 10 years down the road we're going to be going to the Four Nations to hopefully see him. And you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
fortunate like that. And I think that's where a lot of the pride comes from here in Halifax, which is why the Mooseheads draw so well. Is historically they breed NHLers. They do. If you look at their wall of fame, if you look at their history, you think of guys right back in the day from J.S. Jaguar, Jody Shelley, Alex Tanguay, these guys, like even guys like Brandon Reed who got a sniff. But all these guys, if you look at their wall, man, the tradition in Halifax is crazy. And I think that's part of the reason why there's so much draw for them.
If we're not going to have an NHL team here, I think we're pretty fortunate to have one of the top CHL franchises,
And they say it's run
it's
like an
great.
NHL team.
Yeah,
like
with new
anyone.
owners.
Yeah.
who treat it like an
definitely,
NHL
dude.
team.
It's probably better, arguably, than a couple NHL franchises. Like that
Definitely.
practice facility that they have, I know for a fact is nicer than some NHL practice facilities. And the food too, like even when I was there for the whatever games, like they feed you after, and just like they'll feed you after on a home game.
Yeah.
It's like
It's the real deal. One thing though, I'd like them to bring back is the 6-foot sub. So if the management's listening, I miss the old weird guy coming down from the crowd and be like, "I get a piece of that."
I remember when you won the 6-foot sub, you'd have buddies that you haven't talked to in like 3 years. Hey, Justin, what's going on, buddy? Can I get a sub? Like, dude, I don't know
Get
you.
on the end of this thing. Get a bite.
Just takes up the whole aisle.
You're just shoulder to shoulder, mucking on the same
COVID
sub.
took that away,
You're
and
just
also
like-
no Subway in the rink anymore,
Yeah.
so that's a factor.
What Subway?
There used to be a Subway in the Metro Center.
Yeah, I know.
there on
but-
the corner.
Yeah, that's he got replaced.
6 foot
Yeah.
donair now, bud.
Yeah. Coffee. That's what you get.
Do we want to talk about the Ovechkin?
I don't see why not.
What do you call it? The phenomenon, the
Potential.
Push.
Yeah.
wow. He's injured. No way he's gonna break the record this year. It'll be next year. But he's only 21 goals away now. He came back, looked like he didn't miss a game. Just what did he break his leg and he was
Yeah.
back like 13 games later.
Yeah.
Looks better than he did before.
He was skating like 4 days into it.
Talk about
Crazy.
great. What do they call him? The grade 8.
Yeah.
Like I saw him score. He had an overtime winner, I think, the other day against Ottawa, and I watched the goal. And when he shot, the puck, it looked like it was knuckle puck time on Mighty Ducks. But yet somehow it goes in. And like to me, that's greatness. You can be in any situation at any point in the game and somehow find a way to do your job. And Alex Ovechkin's job is to put pucks in the back of the net. That to me is greatness. And you ask yourself, how's this guy open on the power play all the time on the left-hand side? Oh, how is he finding these places to put the puck in the net? Why? How? And the only person that can really answer it, I guess, is himself. He can see the game, differently. And when I saw that goal against Ottawa, how that puck shouldn't have been in the net, he had no space to shoot the puck, but yet it fluttered in, almost looked like a rainbow. I don't know if it went top right or if it went like right by his pad. But either way, once you saw that goal, you're like, there's no way in hell this guy doesn't break the record. If he's chucking muffins like that on net and they're going in, he has some sort of superpower, some sort of magic in his hands that he's going to be able to break this. These guys that, like, who's another example? Like Derek Jeter. I know that didn't they do a documentary on him when he had he had to get a 400th hit or at bat before he retired.
He has 1,000th hit, I think.
Is that what it was?
Or something like that, yeah.
And he only had a couple games to do it, but he somehow did it. And you just talk about greatness, and that's it. These guys, they have these things that us schmucks can't explain. We can't elaborate. We can't there's just a certain magic powder that these guys have. It's like what's that movie there with Michael Jordan where they put the magic drink Space Jam, and they're like, MJ, what's the magic juice? Like, he's like, it's just water. Everyone thinks there's this like, LV, how are you putting the puck on the back of the net on that one spot on the power play for 20 years? Oh, how is he left open? It's just because he has it. He just is open. It is what it is. There's a thing in the universe that allows him to be open each and every time that he puts it in the back of the net.
Well, they have so many more weapons now. Like even Tom Wilson has almost 20 goals right now, right? Like, you, especially on the power play. Like, I think the same thing. I'm like, what are they doing? Why aren't they just keying in on him? Like, it's one-timer city over there. Him and Stammer have that little spot on the top of the circle, but you can't just go to him because somebody else is open, especially on the power play, right? And you got guys like this Protas guy. He's got 20 goals. Like, McMichael's having a big year. So, last year it was a little bit easier to key in on Ovechkin because they didn't have these other key pieces. But you know how it goes. You key in on one guy, and that automatically leaves somebody else open, right? So now you got to make a decision. Who am I leaving open? But Ovechkin, man, it doesn't matter where he's at or what. Think he doesn't look. He's not looking down at the puck to see if it's like us in beer league. You look down, you're like, oh, the puck's rolling. I'm out of this now mentally. Yeah. He doesn't. He just gets the puck and hammers it. And I also think on that note, the goalies are expecting this to be 95 miles an hour, and it flutters. So you almost like react quickly, and you still find a way. But to score on any given night, like he's got 21 goals in 30 games, which like isn't crazy numbers for Ovechkin. But there's 36 games left, and he needs 20 goals. Anybody who's not even good at math, like myself, that's possible. Like he leads the NHL in history in empty net goals. That's the first thing I'll say.
You get one hat trick, and then that's 3 goals knocked off.
Right, and you're cutting into
one game.
Exactly. Yeah. So I want to believe that he'll do it this year.
He will. But
part of me wants it to like drag on a little bit just because it's like something more to watch and follow along with. But
the puck went top left. I'm just looking at the goal right now. It was fluttering. He shot it almost at the hash marks and just somehow went top left.
Element of surprise.
And you're just like, oh, that's so lucky. But it's like, no, it's not, dude.
Okay, well, when you score 900 goals, it's not lucky.
It's not lucky. It's just, that's what I'm talking about, that greatness that none of us, you can't teach this. You can't explain it. Like, how does Ovechkin score that goal on a fluttered puck, top left in overtime against Ottawa? If you think you have the answer, you're an idiot. You don't, because none of us can do it.
If you were shooting that, you'd probably rip it as hard as you could, try to beat him, and the goalie would just boom, like easy muffin save, or it would go wide. But no, like Ovechkin, it's just he finds the spot.
It's crazy. He's plus 15 too. Like he's only got 10 penalty minutes. But he used to get a lot more back in the day because I remember when Ovechkin first came in, he was a powerhouse, dude. Like he was like the one like Euro that would come over and just like throw body and like kill guys, and
that was the knock on him, that he wasn't going to have a long career.
Yeah,
because he just kept throwing his body around.
And he just looks like an old guy, Like
I know, man.
Everybody in their beer league has a guy that looks like Ovechkin. He's the missing tooth, the gray hair. He doesn't look like, they show him all the time off the ice in interviews. He couldn't shred cheese on his six-pack or anything like that, right? He's just a regular guy.
He just knows how to score. Yeah. He figured it out so early, and he just never stopped.
There's guys that, like, Phil's another one. Like, he's not, like, Phil Kessel was an unbelievable player, but he just had that magic touch where he didn't necessarily have to work that hard in the offseason, and he just had it. He had that juice. He just had that thing you can't describe.
The goal scorer's touch. I always say it during commentary. It's like some guys just have it, they know how to score, and some guys could have a wide open net in front 4 times a game, and they'll find the backboards.
Like, the guys that just know where to be at the right time when there's like a scramble in front of the net, but that guy who puts the puck in the net is like 5 feet randomly off to the side, but it just goes to them. Yeah. Somehow it's
the puck
thing.
Finds good players, man.
But isn't that the weirdest thing? I don't know if it's like that in any other sport.
No,
I don't know. If like basketball, you need the ball to shoot it to get a point. You can't just, the ball doesn't find
like everyone's got to be able to score.
Yeah. Football, it's like, no, the quarterback's throwing to the wide receiver.
Yeah.
There's that element of luck in hockey where the puck is bouncing.
Baseball, you may not get you could strike out in a big moment and may not get another opportunity to redeem yourself for like 3 games. Like it's just one of those things. But hockey's just so like quick bang. You really don't know what's going to happen. It's impossible to predict. But like you said, those guys that like kind of vulture around that area, they understand when to attack. And I find Ovechkin too, he makes himself really like forgotten. So he'll kind of like ease off from the zone, and that's gonna, if they want to cover him, they're gonna have to drag themselves out of the defensive zone, which now leaves all the open ice behind. And then all of a sudden he just attacks, and he's gonna score from anheres. Like he's got a 95-mile-an-hour snapper. It's insane. But to think that he's gonna break this, like my old man grew up in the 80s with Edmonton, so he went to a lot of those games, and he's up Gretzky's hoop the whole time. Yeah. These records, this will never get touched, and I think everyone can agree that no one thought that this was going to get touched. Completely different games, But for him to even be sniffing this right now with a guy like Gretzky is nuts. And think about how good like Crosby is and stuff, and he's not anywhere near the goals. But as far as assists, he's up there, right? But I mean, geez, it's been what? I can't do what's 80. That's 20. Do the math for me because I'm going to crumble here.
What since
Gretzky's record?
Well, 40 plus years, I guess, if it was in the 80s. Yeah. So it is one of those things where it's an old record that you just never thought would be broken in modern times, just due to the scoring, like the goaltender's gear. Yeah, the nets, everything, not shooting it along the ice anymore, the rules changing. So it's just one of those old school records you never thought would be beaten, and somehow Ovechkin's figured out a way.
Pretty lucky to be able to be alive for this era, this history, to be able to see that.
And especially with the air, what we're in is like there's cameras in the corners, there's cameras in the nets, there's cameras in the crowd. It's you don't miss shit. Like. It's like, back in the day when we were growing up, you sit down in the morning, you watch highlights because that was the only time you got them. They played them the next day. But now you watch it in real time. You go on YouTube, you go on whatever, Instagram, whatever the kids are using. Twitter.
If someone has a goal in the NHL, it's on Twitter within 30 seconds.
Right.
And then there's 30 people that have an opinion on it within 1 minute. It's pretty unbelievable the amount of information that's out there for people just to see and analyze, break down. It's also a bad thing, but it's also pretty sweet.
The problem with clips, though, is that I see this in young kids, like even Lockie. At the competition, hockey not at a young age, but watching clips is good and watching goals is good, but where did that goal come from? Where did it start? In your defensive end, like there's no more watching full games anymore. It's like you don't break the game down as the same as we used to, and that's where all those opinions come from, right? Some Joe Schmo on Twitter probably can't even skate or tie his own skates. Comes on and was like, oh, well, this is what the guy should have done. It's like, dude, you don't know. You watch the 30-second clip of nothing that's developed other than Puckso front bangs it in, and then someone has this opinion on it. It's crazy, but it's also really cool.
Hence why I love sitting on the opposite side of where the bench is, because you get to watch the game within the game on the bench. A goal comes, great, but that goal happens because of 4 plays before it.
Right.
Most people don't know that because most people haven't played a high level of hockey. You think if you have a breakaway, it was just a breakaway and he scored. It's like, no, sequence of events had to happen in order for that breakaway to happen. Hence, when you get to watch the bench, you get to watch the coach. What does the coach do? He makes decisions on lineups. And then you get to watch the other bench and you get to see their decision on lineups. And then you get to see an icing. Oh, that team can't change. Okay, who's this coach going to put out? There's so many things within the game that I'm a fan of. A goal is a goal. I love it. But what I get horned up for is a winger, on the wall and a centerman. Exactly. A centerman swinging low and he takes a hit, but that winger kicks the puck out with his skate as Sid's flying up through the middle and he goes up on a 2-on-1 because the fucking defenseman pinched.
Yeah.
That's the stuff I absolutely get horned up for.
I agree.
I love a goal, I love an assist, I love a fight, but I love these little details within the game where things really matter. Life is in details, hockey is in these little details, and that's the best part about watching NHL live, because you get to see these details up front live. Sometimes cameras don't catch it. Most of the time it does, but even like TV timeouts. Like I remember when we went to go watch that game in Toronto, like Nylander during the TV timeout would take his gloves off and just do a couple laps with his gloves off, but like in his hand. He was holding both of them in his hand and had his stick in the other hand, and he was just kind of like, almost looked like he was meditating. I'm looking at him, I'm like, what is that? What's he doing? What's he thinking? There's little details of these pro athletes that everyone idolizes, because everyone wants to be a pro athlete. Everyone wants to be in the NHL, and the things that you don't get to see on TV and you do get to see in real life, those are the things, those are the moments that I think are worth the cost of admission. Most NHL players you want to see, like McDavid, pay that money. Yeah. McKinnon, pay that money. Sid, pay that money. There's a lot of guys you pay that money, but there's also guys you're like, I couldn't care less about this guy. But there are little details that you want to see throughout the game. What's Reeves doing as he sits on the bench? Is he talking? Is he active? He hasn't got his shift in 5 minutes, but is he still up? Is he still telling the boys, all right, boys, let's go. Here we go, boys. Here we go. One shift. These are the things you want to see that you can't see on TV, that you will pay the price of admission for an NHL game.
I'll say this. Watching hockey, I watch probably 25 games a week. Like, that's just all I do is watch hockey. But
including us, or just the NHL?
Just the NHL.
Okay.
With us, it's like 70. But I've never watched so much minor hockey in my life. But what I was going to say was, being there in person, like watching on TV just doesn't do it justice. Like, yeah, these guys are great. Like even like McDavid at the All-Star game, I know it was different because it's a little more open. It's 3-on-3, whatever. But you see him on TV and you're like, man, this guy's fast as shit. You see him in real life and you're like, holy man. Like, especially if you get down at ice level and you think like, there's always that that inner brain of a former hockey player that goes, like, even when we go to like the Ducks games or something, you think, oh, I could probably play this, like I could probably do this. And then you sit in the NHL and you're like, dude, I thought I was good. And you get brought back a notch because these guys are, like, even the worst player on the worst NHL team is 50 times better hockey player than either one of us, maybe more. So it just doesn't put it in justice. So I guess my point is, if you have an opportunity to go and watch something like this, whether it be hockey, baseball, basketball, whatever, get out there and see it in real person. And then that's where I've kind of like toned back my opinions of things, because I was the same way on Twitter. It'd be like, oh, what is the Leafs doing? Blah, blah, blah. But then you go there and you're like, okay, I think I actually know nothing compared to what I thought I saw on TV, right? Because it's a different globe of sight.
That Four Nations final, just think of the intensity that's going to be in the rink for that championship game. Like, it's going to be times 10 what we're talking about.
Yeah. It's different than the All-Star too, right?
Yes.
Like the All-Star's all about,
We're going to want to win.
Tate McRae and all this other stuff, right? But
Dano Chara.
And it's just, this is like to win. Nobody really cares about the All-Star game. Like, they don't give a shit if they win or not. Obviously, your brain clicks in at some point.
They got to figure something out with that game.
The All-Star.
But I guess this is a solution, doing the best on best.
That's pretty much what it is. It's a glorified All-Star game, right? It's all the best players from each. They just put them into their.
But there's
countries.
actually something on the line,
Right.
so they'll try, and it's an actual proper hockey game.
And like you said on the point earlier in the podcast, Canada's got a lot riding on this, which sucks to say. But there's never a Hockey Canada event or Hockey Canada team that goes into something and there's no pressure on them. So.
But there's been times where we've gone in winning, and right now we're not.
Yeah.
We're going in losers.
Which makes it more exciting for us.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. The big dogs have to step up. The adults have to come to the table here and make sure everything's going to be okay.
Yeah, it's a young man's game, but you still need that veteran presence,
Yeah, you do. Sid's a vet.
Yeah.
He'll be that presence.
I'm pumped to see the note. Like I said to you yesterday, I was like, how crazy is it that, this is the best on best, and we have 3 Nova Scotians on the team. Before, there was barely 3 Nova Scotians in the NHL, and now we have these 3 guys that are basically top 10, top 20 players in the NHL that are all on one team.
Yeah, who's coaching that again? Cooper?
John, I think so.
I think it's Cooper. Yeah, I'm
going to check.
He's out of it.
That's when you got to be.
I guess that's what we have. I think it is Cooper. You just have to put them on a line just for one game.
They will, man.
You just have to.
They line blend all the time. No. Like, anything they start the tournament with, it'll get switched around.
Yeah, but for the first game, just do it. Just for the fans, that Maritime line. Because I don't know if it's ever... Yeah, they've never played together, all 3 of them. Unless maybe for a World Hockey Championship. No.
I'd also like to see Sid, McDavid, and McKinnon as a line for a little bit, but we'll see that on the power play probably. Think of those 3.
Who, sorry?
McKinnon.
Yeah.
Sid.
Yeah.
And McDavid.
Yeah, and then who else?
Like McCarr on the back end. Do you know what I mean, boys? Like, you could go through.
Quinn Hughes? No, he's American.
You could go through their whole roster and go, well, that'll be fun to watch. But the coaching staff is Cooper, is the head coach, Bruce Cassidy, Peter DeBoer, and Rick Tocchet. Oh, and Misha Donskov.
Can't fit all those people on the bench. There's
How are you going to get on?
Yeah, but that's quite the coaching staff. Like,
yeah.
I don't think that's what they're lacking in, if anything.
The issue with that's the thing. These players are the best players in the world because they are able to function in different settings, meaning they are able to get comfortable with new players right away.
Yep.
I know whenever I got dished out with a new line mate, other than Bullen and Boots, it took me 2-3 games to get comfortable. So that's my only issue with all of this is like, okay, how long is it going to take for these guys to get comfortable with each other? But like Nate, actually no. Sid and Brad played together in that thing in Toronto years ago, the World Cup. Remember that? It was like basically the same thing as this.
Oh, yeah.
And Bergeron. So, and like those guys played really well together. Sid had a great mic'd up video that tournament. And him and Brad were just communicating the whole time. But that's my only thing is like chemistry early. Mm-hmm. It's weird how these guys somehow will start the tournament on the 4th line, but then all of a sudden they're up on the 1st line and it works out because it's weird. The things you figure out as a coaching staff from game 1 to game 4 is night and day. You could completely have a different lineup. So
happens all the time.
Yeah, so it'll be cool to see what works, what doesn't work, why didn't it work. That was a high hit. Something like that.
Yeah.
It's just gonna
shoot.
Yeah, it's just gonna be. I just love it. It's a great sport, man. We're very, very fortunate to be able to I don't know this time of life and that too.
True. Yeah.
It's gonna be
one thing though about the pro players is like they're expected to be able to gel with these guys right away. Like at the end of the day, the NHL is very positional, right? Your left wing or whatever your setup is in the defensive zone. If you're the left winger, you're the right winger. That shit doesn't change on the breakout. So these guys should be able to play. It's just once you get into the offensive zone, I find is where things get kind of weird because guys are used to going, this is my spot normally, but now Nate's there. It's like, like the bad example, but last night I played forward for the first time, and but I'm trying to explain to you, I had no idea where I was supposed to be. Like, you just don't know, and like you look at these other guys, and you look, and like all of a sudden those other two guys are right where you normally are, and you're like, okay, well now I got to make an adjustment, but you kind of get off your game. But these pro athletes, there's no excuse. You know, it's no different than the trade deadline.
Yeah.
They bring guys in. Sometimes it messes with your team, but you come in and you get these two big dogs. Now all of a sudden you got to play with them. So you have to learn how to do it and
They'll
quickly.
adjust.
Yeah,
They'll be
exactly.
fine. How much time are we at?
56.
101.
Jesus, boys.
We didn't even touch
were
on
due.
a few things.
Yeah, paragraphs are too big. The Winter Classic, like, that was awful. I'm not talking about that.
Real personal everyday life.
Personal. I
Update
talked
the
about
people.
Crumble.
The Ice Jam.
Crumble.
The Ice Jam was awesome. Just unbelievable talent coming out of Atlantic Canada. I cannot believe how fortunate we are to be able to see these players and where they're going to go. The cool thing about the Ice Jam is that we've been following these players since, U15. So now to be able to see some of them at U18, and now to be able to see some of them on on a draft list, you're like, holy shit, what a great 4 or 5 years that was. And that's the best part about the Ice Jam, is just getting to see players' development. And that guy had 4 points in that game, now he's going to do well here. It's just a really cool tournament to see the next step in terms of development and where they're going to go from that.
Prime
It's
example.
almost like a Gatineau tournament.
Ali McPhee.
Yep.
All of a sudden just, good player, always been a good player, and all of a sudden just, boom, leads the whole tournament in scoring as a D-man, 2 hat-tricks. Like, it's just crazy to see some of these young kids be able to elevate their game in the moment.
Oh, it's awesome.
That's one thing that I truly cherish from that event, as much as it's, it's a tough event for us. It's a lot of behind-the-scenes work and all that stuff. We won't touch on that too much, but to see the players progress, like, you look at, Fenwick McLean, like, these guys, like, you see them from, like, even U13 now that we're in, and all of a sudden their game just continues to translate at the next level, and it's fun, man. As a hockey fan and as a Nova Scotian, you want these guys to do good.
The other day, the Mooseheads had a game where they had Kilfoyle was playing, Walters was playing, and then Mackinnon were playing. Like, 3 guys who we'd commentated for, done games for. So when they were 15, like playing Major Bantam or U15 all the way up. So that was kind of a cool moment.
You almost feel like it was, we helped, but obviously we didn't.
Yeah.
But like Walters was a cool story, but nice to see Mackinnon get in, man. I'll say that. The guy, he works his ass off out there.
Need more redheads in hockey.
Talk about scoring touch. That guy's one of the guys who just knows how to put it in the net.
Yeah, when he gives the opportunity, he's good like that.
Yeah,
But
he'll
Kilfoyle,
score.
man, what a story. Like, this guy from St. John, I think, he was good. Like, and you and I remember a lot of this stuff just because of the way our brains work. But he was good, but there was no means or no time where I went, damn, this guy's going to dominate at the next level. But it just shows, like, some guys progress at different speeds, and now he's putting up 2, 3, 4 points a game. He's still only 17. Like, it's crazy. And all of a sudden now he's on the draft ranking. So, Eastern Canada, I think, is definitely a lot more on the map these days than it's ever been.
We're going to be just fine, fellas. Don't worry about that. We're going to be good.
Yeah.
Bright. The future's bright. Okay, everyone, thank you very much for tuning in. Shout out to Proline sponsoring the episode and all the other episodes. It's going to be a great week. It's Monday. Have fun. Watch hockey. Highbutton Sports. Myself, Justin, Jeff, Dudes, Cohen producing. Thank you to all. Highbutton Sports. I don't know if I said that yet. We are out. Peace.
Yo.